Like, subscribe, and activate the alarm. And don't forget to share. Outlaws of the Marsh, Chapter 19. Lin Chungster's internal strife in the water-girt stronghold. Chao Gai wins a battle in Liangshan Marsh. On receiving the magistrate's order, Inspector Ho left the court and went with his men to a conference room. That stone tablet village is on the edge of Liangshan Marsh. It has water and reeds and creeks all around, said the police officers. Without a large force of men and boats, you can forget about going in there to make an arrest. True, mused Ho Tao. He returned to the court and spoke to the prefect. Stone Tablet is full of waterways. It's next to Liangshan Marsh. All around are deep coves and channels, reeds and grass. Ho said, There have always been robbers in Stone Tablet. Now they've added this gang of toughs. We'll need a strong force if we're going to take them. All right, said the prefect. I'll give you a competent deputy and 500 soldiers. Ho Tao went back to the conference room and called out his police escort. He told them to prepare a list of 500 men and make ready all necessary arms and equipments. The next day, the deputy came to Ho Tao with the prefect's riding order. Together, they assembled the 500 soldiers. With these, plus the policemen, they set out for Stone Tablet. Meanwhile, Chao Gai and Gongsun Sheng, after burning down the manor, arrived at Stone Tablet village with a dozen or so vassals. They were met by 3 Ruan brothers, all of them armed, and taken to the home of Ruan Xiaowu. Ruan Xiao'er had already sent his mother, wife, and child to a place of concealment in the marsh. The 7 men discussed joining the outlaws on Mount Liangshan. In Lijia Entry, a man by the name Zhugui runs a tavern. He's known as Dryland Crocodile, and is very hospitable to brave fellows from all over, said Wu Yong. Anyone who wants to join the gang has to talk to him first. We ought to get boats, load on our belongings, send him some gifts, and ask him to introduce us. Just then, a few fishermen arrived and reported, Soldiers, on horse and foot, are closing in, fast, on our village. Chao Gai rose quickly to his feet. If those knaves catch up with us, we'll never get away. Don't worry, said Ruan Xiao'er. I'll handle them. I'll drown the majority and stab the rest. Keep calm, said Gongsun Sheng. Let me show you what this humble priest can do. Brother, Chao said to Liu Tong, you and the teacher take our families and possessions in boats to the left side of Lijia Entry and wait there. We'll see what's up and join you later. Wen Xiao'er chose 2 boats. He loaded his mother, wife, child, and belongings on one. Wu Yong and Liu Tong boarded the other. 7 or 8 fishermen rowed off with both craft to wait at Lijia Entry. Ruan Xiao'er then told Ruan Xiaowu and Ruan Xiaoqi how to deal with the enemy. They were each to go on a small boat, and the 2 brothers departed. Ho Tao, the deputy, and the soldiers gradually neared the village. They seized whatever boats they saw along the bank and manned them with soldiers who knew how to swim. The cavalry kept pace on shore, land and water forces moving forward abreast. They set up a shout when they reached Ruan Xiao'er's house and charged into the yard. But except for a few items of heavy furniture, the place had long since been cleaned out. Bring me a few of his fishermen neighbors, said Ho Tao. The men were produced. They said, His brothers, Ruan Xiaowu and Ruan Xiaoqi, both lived in the marsh. You can only get there by boat. Ho Tao discussed this with the deputy and said, The marsh is full of creeks and inlets and twisting paths, and ponds and pools of unknown depth. If we break up into small search parties, those rascals are liable to catch us in some trap. My idea is to leave the horses in the village with a guard, and all of us proceed in boats. That was done. Well, over 100 craft had been seized. Some were punted, some were sculled. Now the whole armada advanced in the direction of the fisherman's hamlet, where Ruan Xiaowu lived. After sailing 5 or 6 li, they heard someone bawling a raucous song from the thicket of reeds. The pursuers stopped rowing and listened. The words rang clearly across the water. In the reeds, all my life I perish. Yeah, hey, yeah. Rising here by the planting dew. Rapacious officials, I kill them all. To the emperor, I'm loyal and true. Hoto and his men were startled. Then, far off, they saw the singer. He was sculling a small boat. One of the men recognized him. That's Wan Shao! Inspector Ho waved his arm in signal, and the entire flotilla, all armed to the teeth, pressed forward after their quarry. Ruan Shao laughed scornfully. How brave you corrupt officials are! When it comes to oppressing the common people! What do you want from me? Be careful! Don't tweak the tiger's whiskers! Archers behind Ho fitted arrows to their strings, pulled the bows to the full, and let fly. When Shao picked his calling oar and dived into the water. When soldiers reached his boat, he was nowhere to be seen. Before the armada passed another 2 inlets, they heard a shrill whistle from the reeds. The boats quickly spread out. Ahead, they saw a small craft approaching with 2 men. The one standing in the bow wore a black straw hat and a green core cape. In his hand was a spear shaped like a brushpan. He sang this song. In Stone Tablet Village I was born. I've always liked to kill. Hey! Hotels and the deputies' heads I lift and present them, hi hey, to the emperor as my gift, hi hey. Again, Hoto and his men were startled. Some of them recognized the singer. That's Ron Shaoqi! All together, in full strength! Shouted Hoto. Grab that man! Don't let him get away! Ron Shaoqi laughed. Stinking riches! He pointed with his spear, and his craft glided into an inlet. Shouting at the top of their lungs, the soldiers gave chase. The craft of Wan Shaoqi and the man wielding the sweep oar seemed to fly across the water. They whistled and turned the boat into a smaller inlet. The pursuing fleet saw the waterway was becoming narrower. Halt! Hotao ordered. Moor the boats by the bank! He went ashore and gazed around. On all sides were watery wastes and reeds. There was no sign of any path. Hotao hesitated. He couldn't make up his mind. He asked directions from a soldier who came from those paths. Although I live around here, the man said, there are many places I don't know. Inspector Ho sent out 2 small crafts with 3 policemen in each to scout deeper into the reeds. 2 watches passed and they failed to return. Those idiots don't do anything right? Ho fumed. He dispatched another 5 policemen in another 2 boats. More than a watch went by, but these men didn't come back either. They're all experienced and clever. How can they act so stupid? Ho wondered. What if they send 1 boat back to report? And these soldiers I've brought are just as bad. They don't know up from down. It was already late in the day. I won't solve anything sitting here, thought Hotao. I'd better go have a look myself. He selected a fast craft and went aboard with several of his best veteran policemen, each heavily armed, plied by half a dozen oars. With Hotao seated in the bow, peering at the expanse of reeds, the boat moved off. The sun by then was sinking in the west. After proceeding 5 or 6 li up the inlet, Hotao saw a man approaching along one of the banks with a hoe in his hand. Hey, fellow, who are you? Ho called. What is this place? I'm a farmer in the village. This is Chophead Creek. It doesn't go anywhere. Have you seen 2 boats pass this way? You mean the ones after Wan Shao? How do you know they were chasing him? They're in the dark grove ahead, fighting! How far is the grove from here? Only a few steps, and you'll be able to see it! Ho Tao shouted for his men to beach the craft and hurry to the fray. He sent two men up the bank with their tined spears. Suddenly, the farmer raised his hoe, and with two blows, he knocked the policeman tumbling into the creek. The astonished Ho tried to scramble up the bank, but the boat began to rock, and the man surged out of the water, yanked Ho's legs, and dumped him overboard with a splash. As the other policemen in the boat rose to flee, the farmer leaped aboard the craft and smashed their skulls with his hoe, spattering brain matter. The swimmer dragged Ho by the legs up the bank and bound him with his sash. It was Ren Xiaoqi. Wen Xiao'er was the man who wielded the hoe. They both revealed Inspector Ho. We three Ren brothers have always liked killing and burning. Compared to us, you're nothing. You've got the nerve, coming with a gang of soldiers to arrest us? I couldn't help myself, good fellows. I was only carrying out orders. I would never come after such brave men. Pity my 80-year-old mother and let me live. I'm her sole support. Truss him up like a dumpling and put him into the cabin. The Wen brothers threw the bodies in the water, then whistled. From the reeds, 4 or 5 fishermen in boats emerged and went aboard the vessel. Ren Xiaoqi and Ren Xiao'er each took one small craft. Meanwhile, the soldiers on the boat with the deputy are grumbling. Oh, a police officer like Inspector Ho ought to know better than go out and do his own scouting. All this time, and he hasn't returned. By then it was the first watch, and stars filled the sky. The men in the boats were enjoying the coolness. Suddenly, a strange wind blew up behind them, so fierce that it snapped the mooring ropes. The soldiers covered their faces and cried out in alarm. Helpless, they heard a sharp whistle behind them. They stared into the wind to see a fiery glow in the reeds along the opposite shore. We're finished! They exclaimed. There were over 100 government vessels, big and small. These were so buffeted by the gale that they collided with each other, out of control. The fiery glow was now almost upon them. A flotilla of small boats, bound together in pairs, and heaped with reeds and brushwood, which were crackling brightly with flames, was sweeping quickly downward the wind. The government craft were all snarled together, and the creek was narrow. They couldn't get out of the way. The first of the fire vessels pushed in among a dozen or so large boats, and they began to burn. Men, swimming underwater, were propelling fire vessels forward. The soldiers and their officers leaped for the bank, only to discover that they were surrounded by reeds and marsh, without a strip of solid ground. Then the reeds along the shore also burst into flame, cutting them off completely. The wind was strong, the blaze was fierce. Soldiers and officers hastily immersed themselves in the soft mud. A small swift craft emerged from the fiery glow, one man sculling in the stern, a Taoist priest seated in the bow, holding a gleaming sword. Not a single one will escape! He shouted. The men in the mud huddled together in panic. At that moment, from the reeds along the east bank, came 2 men leading 4 or 5 fishermen, all armed with glittering swords and spears. Another 2 men, also followed by 4 or 5 fishermen, advanced from the reeds along the west bank, and these carried shining fish gaffs. The 4 bold fellows and their cohorts attacked the helpless foe from both sides. Before long, scores of soldiers and officers lay dead in the soggy mire. Chao Gai and Ren Xiaowu had come from the east bank. Ren Xiao'er and Ren Xiaoqi had come from the west. The Taoist priest on the boat who summoned the wind was Gongsun Sheng. These 5 brave fellows, with the aid of a dozen or so fishermen, slew in the reeds a great host of officers and men. The only one left was Inspector Ho, dressed up like a dumpling in the cabin. When Xiao Er carried him to the bank and pointed at him angrily. "You wretched beast! You extort and squeeze the people of Jizhou! Originally I was going to make a minced meat out of you, but now I want you to go back and tell that crook prefect that the three heroes of Stone Tablet, the Wen brothers, and the ruler of East Bank, Chao Gai, are not to be trifled with. We don't go to your town asking for grain. Don't you come to our village seeking to die. If he got eyes in his head, even if the Premier Tsai, never mind the pipsqueak of a prefect, sent men to take us, even if the Premier came in person, would put daylight into him with 20 or 30 stabs. We're letting you go. Don't come back. And tell your prick of a superior to stay away if he wants to live. There are no highways in this place. My brothers will set you on the road." Wen Xiaoqi took Ho in a small fast craft to where a road began. "Go straight from here and you'll reach the highway. All your men have been killed. If we let you off scot-free, your crook of a prefect will bray his donkey laugh at us. I must ask you to leave your ears here as a proof against that." What? He whipped out a knife and cut off Ho's ears. Blood flowed copiously. Wen Xiaoqi wiped his knife, untied the sash that bound his prisoner, and flung him on the bank. Ho, glad to be alive, sought a road that would take him back to Jizhou. Chao Gai, Gongsun Shang, the three Wen brothers, and the dozen or more fishermen left the Stone Tablet marshes in 6 or 7 boats to Li Jia entry, where they found the craft of Wu Yong and Liu Tong and rejoined them. The teacher wanted to know all about how they repelled the soldiers, and Chao Gai told him in detail. Wu Yong and the others were delighted. They set their vessels in order and went together to the tavern of Jugwei, the dryland crocodile. When all had arrived, they said they wanted to join the mountain stronghold. Jugwei hastily welcomed them. Wu Yong told him the story. The tavern keeper was very pleased and greeted them one by one. He invited them in, begged them to be seated, and ordered the waiter to bring wine. Then he took a leather-bound bow, fitted a whistling arrow, and shot it into a cove of reeds opposite. Soon, a small boat came out, rowed by one of the brigands. Jugwei quickly wrote a letter of introduction, stating the number of men who wished to join, and their names, and gave it to the bandit, instructing him to deliver it to the stronghold. After this, he slaughtered the sheep to feast his guests. The next morning, Jugwei ordered a large boat. And invited the bold fellows on board. Together with the boats, which had brought Chao Gai and the others, it set forth for the mountain fortress. After sailing a long time, they came to an inlet. They could hear drums beating and gongs crashing along the shore. 4 sentry craft glided out, manned by 7 or 8 bandits. These recognized Jugwei, greeted him respectfully, and returned to their hiding place. At the shore of Golden Sands, the party disembarked, leaving their families and fishermen to wait by the boats. Several score bandits came down the mountain and led them to the fortress gate. Wang Lun and the other leaders came out to greet them. Chao Gai and his party bowed politely. The bandit chieftain returned the courtesy. "I am called Wang Lun. The fame of Chao Gai, the heavenly king, has long thundered in my ears. It is a pleasure to welcome you to our humble stronghold." "I am a crude, unlettered fellow seeking refuge, hoping only to be a simple foot soldier under your command. Please do not refuse me." "You mustn't talk like that. Please, come to our small fortress, and we'll confer." All went up the mountain and entered Righteous Fraternity Hall, where Wang Lun insisted that his guests sit on the raised platform. Chao Gai and his 6 companions stood in a row on the right, while Wang Lun and the other bandit leaders stood in a row on the left. After an exchange of courtesies, they took their seats as hosts and guests. Wang Lun instructed his junior officers, at the foot of the platform, to hail the visitors. When this was done, musicians in the antechamber commenced to play. The chieftain ordered the lieutenant to go down the mountain and look after his guests reunite. These were quartered in a hostel below the gate. Within the fortress, 2 oxen were slaughtered, and 10 sheep and 5 pigs, and everyone feasted to the accompaniment of drums and horns. And as they drank, Chao Gai told the outlaw leaders the entire story. Wang Lun listened uneasily, deep in thought. He made only brief non-committal replies. They dined until evening. Then the brigand chiefs escorted their visitors to the hostel below the stronghold gate and left them to be waited by the vassals who had come with them. Chao Gai was very pleased. We've committed such serious capital crimes. Where else could we find refuge? He said to the other 6, if it weren't for the kindness of Chieftain Wang Lun, we'd be in a real dilemma. We should always be grateful. Wu Yong laughed coldly. Why are you skeptical, teacher? Asked Chao Gai. Tell us what you know. You're brave, but too honest, brother. Don't think for a moment Wang Lun would let us stay. You didn't see what was in his heart. You noted only his facial expression and manner. What's wrong with that? When we first began dining, he was quite friendly. But after you told him how we killed all those officers and soldiers and the deputy, and released Ho Tao, and how bold the Wan brothers were, his expression changed. Although he answered you courteously, his heart wasn't in it. If he actually wanted to keep us, he would already assigned us proper seats. Du Qian and Song Wen are a couple of boors. What do they know about how to treat a guest? Lin Chong, on the other hand, was an arms instructor in the Imperial Guards, a big city man, very polished. But right now, he can't help himself. He holds only 4th place here. I noticed that he looked dissatisfied when he saw how Wang Lun answered you. He never took his eyes off him. There was clearly something on his mind. I think he'd like to help us, but he's in a difficult position. I'm going to throw out a few suggestions and see whether I can't set them against each other. We rely completely on your shrewdness, teacher, said Chao Gai. The 7 men retired for the night. The next morning it was announced that arms instructor Lin was calling. He's come to see us, Wu Yong said to Chao Gai. Just what we wanted. The 7 men hurried out to greet their visitor and invited him into the parlor. We imposed too much on your generosity last night, said Wu Yong. We must apologize. It is I who must apologize. Though I long to show my respect, I was not in a position to do so. Please forgive me. We have no talent, but we are not blocks of wood. We were most sensible of your kind intentions. We are extremely grateful. Chao Gai begged Lin Chong to take the seat of the highest rank. Lin Chong wouldn't hear of it. He pushed Chao into the chair and seated himself opposite. Wu Yong and the other 5 sat in a row on the side. We have long known the arms instructor's fame, said Chao Gai. We did not think we would have this opportunity to meet. When I was in the eastern capital, I never failed in courtesy to my friends, said Lin Chong. I now have had the honor to make your acquaintance, but have been unable to behave as I wished. I come especially to express my regret. We sincerely thank you, said Chao Gai. Quite some time ago, I heard of the arms instructor's chivalry in the eastern capital, said Wu Yong. How did you fall out with Gao Qiu? And why did he ruin you? When the army fodder was burnt in Changzhou, that also was his doing, wasn't it? And who introduced you to this mountain stronghold? If I told you of the wickedness of that scoundrel Gao Qiu, it would make your hair stand on the end, and I cannot get revenge. I found refuge here on the recommendation of Lord Chai. Not Chai Jin, known in the gallant fraternity as the Small Whirlwind? The very one. I've heard much about the righteousness and the generosity, how warmly he treats brave men, said Chao Gai. It is said that he is a descendant of the royal Zhou family. How wonderful it would be to meet him. Lord Chai is famed throughout the land, said Wu Yong. Surely it was because of your extraordinary skill with weapons, arms instructor, that he recommended you here. I am not exaggerating in the least when I say that Wang Lu should have relinquished top leadership to you. This is the common opinion, and in keeping with Lord Chai's letter. Teacher rates me too highly. I committed a capital crime and found shelter with Lord Chai. He was quite willing to keep me, but I didn't want him to become involved. I came to this mountain of my own volition. Little did I know that it's a dead end. I don't mind having a lower rank, but Wang Lun is hard to get along with. He's not sure of himself and is often untruthful.
He seems friendly enough,
Said Wu Yong.
What makes him so narrow-hearted?
Having you gallant heroes join us would be of great mutual benefit, like embroidering flowers on brocade, like rain on dry sprouts. But Wang Lun's very jealous of the talented and able. He's afraid you'll overwhelm him. When you told, last night, how he slaughtered the soldiers and the officers, he was upset. He's plainly reluctant to let you stay. That's why he asked you to rest in this outside hostel,
Since that's how he feels,
said Wu Yong.
there's no point in waiting for him to say so. We'll go somewhere else.
Please, don't take it amiss, but I have an idea, said Lin Chong. I was afraid you bold fellows might be thinking of leaving, so I came early to confer. Why not wait to see how Wang Lun behaves today? If the lout speaks reasonably, not like yesterday, then everything can be discussed. But if he breathes so much as half his improper sentence, just leave the rest to me. Your kind consideration is more than we deserve, said Chao Gai.
Why should we quarrel with your old brothers for the sake of your new?
Asked Wu Yong.
If he'll have us, we'll stay. If not, we'll go.
No, teacher, cried Lin Chong. As the ancients say, the astute and the gallant each cherish their own kind. That filthy churl! What use is he to anybody? Gallant fellows, you can rely on me. He rose and took his leave. We shall be meeting soon, he said. They saw him to the gate, and Lin Chong went back to the mountain. Not long after, a bandit arrived from the stronghold and said, Today, our chieftains are inviting you to dine in the waterside pavilion in the fort on the south side. Tell them we'll be there shortly, said Chao Gai. The bandit departed. What shall we do, teacher? Chao Gai asked Wu Yong. The teacher smiled.
Don't worry, brother. The stronghold is going to have a change of masters. Lin Chong seems determined to have it out with Wang Lun. If he shows any signs of hesitation, my tongue is sharp enough to prick him into open strife. You all carry concealed weapons. If I stroke my beard, get in and help him.
Chao Gai and the others silently and gladly agreed. By mid-morning, messengers had come 4 more times to repeat the invitation. Finally, neatly dressed, with weapons hidden in their persons, the 7 set out for the feast. Song Wen arrived personally, on horseback, to lead the way, and 7 sedan chairs were provided for the guests. All proceeded directly to the waterside pavilion on the mountain's southern slope, and the 7 came down from their conveyances. Wang Lun, Du Qian, Lin Chong, and Zhu Gui were waiting to meet them and invite them into the pavilion. Hosts and guests took their seats, to the left and right respectively, on a dais. Lesser brigands kept on refilling their goblets. When several rounds of wine had been drunk, and 2 courses of food served, Chao Gai proposed to Wang Lun that the 7 join the fraternity, but the bandit chieftain usually changed the subject. Wu Yong watched Lin Chong. The arms instructor was glaring at Wang Lun. They drank until afternoon. Bring them in, Wang Lun said. 3 bandits went out and soon returned. One of them was carrying 5 large silver ingots on a platter. Wang Lun rose, goblet in hand, and addressed himself to Chao Gai. We are honored that you heroes assembled with us here. Unfortunately, our stronghold is only a swampy marsh, not fit for gallants of such stature. We offer these few modest gifts and hope you won't laugh at them. When you have settled in some large, suitable fortress, I will personally send men to serve under your command. For a long time we have known that this great stronghold welcomed able fighters, Chao Gai replied, and so we made a beeline here to join. If you won't have us, we shall leave. As to the silver you so graciously offer, we cannot accept it. Not that we are rich, but we do have a bit of travel money. Please, take back your splendid gift. We must be on our way.
Why refuse it? We would be very glad to have you. It's only that we're short of grain and housing. Staying in a place like this would be holding you heroes back. It's not in keeping you with your dignity. That's why we are not asking you to remain. Before the words were out of Wang Lun's mouth, Lin Chong, scowling fiercely, shouted, "When I first came here, you tried to put me off by saying you were short of grain and housing. Now you tell Brother Chow and his gallant company the same story. What's the big idea?"
Calm yourself, Sir Leader.
Wu Yong begged.
We shouldn't have come. We've only stirred up bad feelings among you. Chieftain Wang Lun is not driving us away. He's sending us off with traveling expenses. Please don't be angry. Any of you. We'll go, and that'll be the end of it.
Wang Lun has a knife behind his smile, said Lin Chong. He's a man of pure words, but dirty deeds. I'm not going to let him get away with it.
Animal!
Barked Wang Lun.
You're not drunk? How dare you speak of me like that? Have you no respect for your superiors?
You're an impoverished scholar who failed in the government examinations, a man of threadbare learning. Lin Chong scoffed. What right have you to be stronghold leader?
Our coming here has caused this quarrel.
Wu Yong said to Chao Gai.
We must get some boats and depart today.
The 7 men rose as if to leave the pavilion.
Stay at least till the end of the banquet,
Wang Lun proposed. With a kick, Lin Chong sent the table crashing to one side. He jumped to his feet and pulled a glittering knife from beneath his robe. Wu Yong stroked his beard. Chao Gai and Liu Tang hurried over as if to restrain Wang Lun. You mustn't quarrel! They exclaimed. Wu Yong pretended to be soothing Lin Chong.
Please don't be rash,
he urged. Gongs and Shang cried to both sides. Don't destroy your harmony on our account! Wen Xiao wrapped his arm around Du Qian. Wen Xiaowu enveloped Song Wan, and Wen Xiaoqi did the same to Zhu Gui. The assembled lesser bandits watched in frightened stupefaction. Lin Chong cursed Wang Lun. You're a poor village scholar! If it weren't for Du Qian, you wouldn't even be here! Lord Chai supported you, gave you traveling expenses, befriended you, but when he sent me with a letter of introduction, you did everything to put me off. Now those bold heroes come, and you want to send them down the mountain. Does Mount Liangshan belongs to you? You're a thief, jealous of men of talent. What good is there in keeping you alive? You haven't any particular ability. Who are you to lead this stronghold? Du Qian, Song Wan, and Zhu Gui tried to press forward to help Wang Lun, but they were held so tightly by the Wen brothers that they couldn't move. The bandit chieftain turned to go. Chao Gai and Liu Tang blocked his path. Wang Lun realized his danger. Where are my boon companions? He cried. Several bandits who had always been very close to him wanted to come to his rescue, but they were cowed by Lin Chong's fierce manner. Again, Lin cursed the bandit chief, then stabbed him through the heart. Wang Lun collapsed in a heap. Chao Gai and the others each produced a knife. Lin Chong cut off Wang Lun's head and raised it aloft. Terrified, Du Qian, Song Wan, and Zhu Gui fell to their knees. Let us serve as grooms who hold your whip and stir up, they begged. Chao Gai, with polite haste, helped them to their feet. Wu Yong pulled the chair of the highest chieftain from the pool of blood and pushed Lin Chong down into it. If anyone disagrees, he will go the way of Wang Lun, he shouted. From now on, Arms Instructor Lin is the leader of Mount Liangshan. No, teacher, exclaimed Lin Chong. I killed the scoundrel out of loyalty to you, gallant heroes. I seek no position for myself. I will be the laughingstock for the whole chivalrous fraternity if I take the seat today. I'd rather die first. But I have another suggestion. I wonder whether you listen to me.
Speak,
said the others.
Who would dare to disagree? Let's hear it.
Lin Chong's words were brief, but as a result, in Unity Pavilion, many men with but one heart gathered. Before Righteous Fraternity Hall, scores of righteous fighters assembled. The man who executed heaven's will, that loyal, generous gallant, would soon arrive. What then did Lin Chong say to Wu Yong? Read our next chapter if you would know.